Hey guys, it's Robert Gardner with the Robert Gardner Wellness Podcast. Today I have Antoine with me. We're going to talk about massage, wellness coaching, business development. We had a brief chat the other night, and I just immediately was like, I have to get him on the podcast to chat. Well, he was at a similar wavelength in terms of entrepreneurship and the things we were discussing, like looking at things outside the box. So can you tell the audience at home a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Antoine, and I became a massage therapist in 2015 after a long road of PTSD rehabilitation. And so, I basically just fell in love with the art itself and, getting regulation over my own energy, and just noticed that the business side of massage therapy was very lacking. And so I kind of did a little bit of obsessing over the business side of things and noticed there was a whole world that probably most massage therapists haven't really jumped into. And so I'm pretty much out networking, marketing, learning everything about business just as much as I'm learning how business needs wellness rather than wellness needing business.
Yeah.
And so, when it comes to healing, I will always try to be the loudest about it, and it's almost too important to ignore. And so I'm basically trying to spread that net.
I think that massage therapists, if I would recommend anything to them in terms of business, is that they start looking outside the massage industry. Like, how do other businesses operate and do things? And I think that gives more insight, in all honesty, than what I see within the massage industry itself. I feel like the marketing and advertising in the industry is very myopic sometimes. It's not looking at the greater world.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's honestly, I mean, I like to think it was education. I really love for it to be laziness, but ultimately, I just think people are comfortable. They ultimately are going to stick with something that's working. And I guess they can't be looked at as doing something wrong if they're constantly doing the solo massage therapist thing. And if they have their own practice, then they've somehow made it. And I'm thinking, well, there's not much of an average wage for massage therapists. That was my notice of my red flag. And it turned out that there was this glass ceiling over top of what a massage therapist could actually, how they can thrive. And it's not a good sight. The average one will never make it to 100,000 if they don't quit. That's how I'm looking at it. That's what the information's saying.
Yeah. The supreme limitation is if you're doing massage and body work the way that most people think of it, you're only working on one person at a time. So if you're only working on one person at a time, you can only see so many clients in a day, and then you can only charge so much per session. You have to figure out how to maximize that. And once you're fully booked, you're fully booked. Like, you can't, you're out of time. So
you can't even search for more. You can't even search for more batches of, it's, I see. Yeah, that's true.
It's, I don't know. Like I said, the reason I wanted you on is I heard some of these, I don't know, I caught something in the way you were talking, and it's like different than what I hear in the bulk of the industry. One of the things I did was I built my teaching practice on top of clients. So I had a successful client practice. I was making money. I got about 75% full. Like, my time was starting to go away. I was tired. I was working a lot. And I understood, okay, if I push for this other 25%, I'm going to be so busy, I can't do anything else. I'm just stuck in session all day, one client at a time. But if I start teaching, then more people can get access, then more people can do stuff. It was like, if I teach, you're also building a second revenue stream. And the deal was, I remember sitting down with a calculator and going, okay, if I had a class and I charged $250 and I had 8 students, you'd make $2,000 within whatever time frame. And I was like, $2,000? I was like, man, that's like, what it was I had never dealt with a business that started to scale a little bit. It only scales to 8 students or 10 students, but it did scale just a little. And the goal was not to stop seeing clients. The goal was to be able to help more people and continue, building what was going on. You diversified revenue streams, but then over time, what happened was you started a workbook, a DVD set, educational materials. Then you had merchandise and T-shirts, and then it was like online classes, and then during COVID, interactive online classes from 4 camera angles, online apprenticeship. Like, it kept diversifying, but the biggest like slowdown, if you will, in what I see in the therapist process. I love teaching, and I'll always teach in person, teach online, and supplement. But the students don't really have a bodywork problem. They have a business problem. And if I went to the massage industry right now and said, hey, I'll give you a free business class, almost no one would sign up. They're not interested in business. They don't want to talk about business. I don't like that stuff. That's not why I got in this industry. And I'm like, ugh.
Wow.
Ooh.
And to tell you the truth, my business class for my school was kind of weak.
Well, I mean, so this is another thing. I won't sit down and just criticize schools. I don't do that. Schools, at least, I'm sorry, I'm stammering.
Yeah.
What state are you in?
I'm in Florida right now. I basically graduated in Arizona.
Yeah. How many hours do you have to have in Florida to become a therapist? How many hours do you go through massage school? I
believe it's the minimum, which is 500, right?
Okay. So if it's 500, it's the same thing in Texas. 500 hours isn't enough for the school to cover business. The school is trying to take a completely fresh piece of clay and sculpt them into a therapist that knows anatomy and physiology, kinesiology, and can go to the spa and get a job. 90+% of the therapists who go through any massage therapy program in the United States, as a guess, are going to work for somebody else. They're not going to run their own business like straight out of the gate. And the curriculum over time has shifted towards that direction. I think when it was 20 years ago or earlier, it was a lot of mom and pop schools who were actually getting people who wanted second careers. What I see is there is an aging down of massage therapists. There's new people coming into the field right out of high school, and they don't really want to run a business. They just want to, I want to make $50 an hour and get paid hourly and be done with it. That's a very different set of parameters, and any therapist that I see that even remotely becomes successful, 9 times out of 10, if they build a full practice, if they get closer to that 100,000 mark, I don't know what percentages, but I see a heavier weight on, not education, a heavier weight on running a spa or facility and hiring therapists. And the issue is seeing clients is a totally different business than managing massage therapists, managing a facility.
I hear you. I'm looking for the exact numbers that you're asking for. Practicing 43%, dude. That's how many LMTs are office bound.
So are they saying the other 60% is like private practice?
They're saying in-home of the massage therapist, which is kind of how I started.
Yeah.
That's only 28. At home of the client.
Yeah.
And then after spa, it's and salons is pretty much like chiro, health clubs, hospitals. The medical field is pretty much the lacking portion of it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I do my analysis, man.
Yeah.
I love the analysis.
Yeah, the students, again, in what I teach, the bigger issue is the student has to work for themselves. They can't do what I teach in any facility, not its full expression.
Yes.
like me going out to like put out more video and show people on social media what I do, there's very little pushback in terms of clients. The clients freak out about what I do and go, "Man, this is amazing. This is the massage I always wanted. Why aren't massage therapists doing this?" And I'm like, "Ooh, it's not what they're taught in school."
Okay, well then you got somebody on video like me whom they took out shiatsu because the teacher got sick and brought in Thai massage.
Yeah.
And so we weren't even like it really isn't like they had to bring it in as a runner up or an alternative.
Well,
and
yeah. So Thai massage and shiatsu, at least functionally, especially in the beginning, aren't really that robustly different. It's just typically they're both done on a mat. And most schools, in my experience, have slowly, if they were doing any kind of mat work, they've slowly taken it away. What I've seen is I've gone into a school for core curriculum, and the school owner invited me in to say, "Hey, let's teach them some Thai massage." And I'm like, in core? Like, I thought he wanted a continuing education class. He didn't. He wanted me to come in and do like a modality day. And I'm like, oh, all right. Cool. So how long? He's like, let's just do a day, just a single day. In the morning, we did like table-based stuff. And then in the afternoon, I think we did mat-based. But my ideas are so against the grain. I'm like a salmon, swimming upriver, that the students are doing cartwheels. They're freaking out. Oh my God, this is my modality. They're like jumping up, freaking out. They're like, this is amazing. This is what I want to do. The students go back to school the next day, and their normal teacher, who I did not meet, is like watching them, and they're all doing stuff that they learned the day before with me. And the teacher comes in and goes, "Stop doing that. We're doing Swedish." Aw. And that's the thing. It's like I am a carbuncle on the ass of the massage industry. Like, they're like, "We don't like this." And basically what it is you keep changing things. You're changing it too much. And I'm like, okay, I'm never going to stop making it better for therapists and better for clients. And if you ask me to, I'm going to say no. And I'll go direct to consumer, and I'll use these cameras, and I'll transform an industry if it takes me the rest of my life. I'm not saying you can't go to a spa and do Swedish. I'm not like, I don't know how to explain this. I'm like an outsider to the mainstream industry. I'm not thinking that what I'm doing is going to get, like, in other words, we're a lot of years away from Massage Envy hiring me because they want to start Thai Massage Envy. Like, they're not there yet. Their entire foundation in terms of brick and mortar facilities is table based. If you let me in, I'd go, "Oh, I got a new thing. Just get rid of the tables." Yeah, the physical structure of the building, we don't need privacy anymore. There's no private rooms. We just need a shell to set up suspension so we can get 6 students to work on 6 clients at a time publicly. What?
Right.
Yeah, well, just get rid of the table, get rid of the cream, get rid of the oil, get rid of the glide, get rid of the nudity. Let's do it publicly. You can film everything and put it on social media. And they're like, oh no. Even if what I just said could be profitable, it's got no social proof in a larger industry. I mean, I'm in Austin, and one of the things I noticed that is sort of cognitive dissonance. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Students have been complaining since COVID, "I want in-person classes. I want in-person classes." I list in-person classes each month here in Austin. I have one class for 6 hours on a specific topic. We did shoulder pain. We're about to do carpal tunnel syndrome. We're going to do yoga therapy, and then we're going to do abdominal work. I listed those classes, I think, 6 weeks ago. I've had no sign-ups. The same students who say, "I want in person, I want in person, I want in person." Yesterday, I had a conversation with a student in Arkansas I had a conversation with a student in North Carolina. I'm having a podcast with a gentleman in Florida. Where are the Austin massage therapists?
Wow.
And it's like, well, we want it in person. And it's like, cool, that's totally fine. But you have to understand you have travel costs, you have food costs. Like, you want to do it quote unquote right. And I'm like, not only is the bodywork strange, I'm going, listen, guys, my subscription is $7 a month. Let's get 10,000 people to subscribe, and I'll just stream to you live from 4 camera angles daily. 5 days a week, 2 hours a day, 52 weeks a year. I'll give you another 500 hours of footage yearly. What? I don't understand. And I'm like, I'll just, instead of just pre-recorded content, I'll just live stream to you daily for 2 hours. How much? And I'm like, $7 a month. And they're like, I don't understand. I'm like, I do. 10,000 students at $7 is $70,000 a month. Do I need $840,000 a year to run my business? No. Guys, we're going to take 700,000 of those dollars and reinvest it into marketing. Reinvest it into advertising. At that point, I'll have a film crew and never do any edits myself. Because
why do you think they don't understand?
So, the massage industry is very insular. It's very myopic in its thought in terms of business, in my opinion. And the schools and state regulators and the way things are structured are basically controlling the marketplace. When I tell a student, I'm just doing a live stream, and they go, I don't understand. What's a live stream? I'm like, hold on. You know what a live stream is. Mm-hmm. Like, you know that people are on Twitch and like streaming, playing a video game, or they're streaming on TikTok doing, a cooking show, or the breakdown is they've never seen anybody do it in our industry. And what I've learned over time is, I think as an entrepreneur, and you may be the same, like, how do you feel when you, not just in the massage industry, how do you feel when you look at businesses who are changing things to improve it? How do you feel when you see that?
I feel like as they're changing things in order to improve certain things, I feel like they're so afraid of the fundamental part of it being changed that they're just basically putting on makeup. I see it. It's definitely there.
So, and that's not just in the massage industry. These are bigger businesses.
I mean,
when you say the makeup, do you feel like it's just the facade?
The massage envy aspect you brought up, and why they feel like they can't take away the tables, is because that part of the branding is rooted so deeply into their pockets that they can't change face. They can't even change the color without messing some form of numbers up.
I mean, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, when they kind of, give in to fear like that, that's when you see that they just keep piling on things. They look bigger, but they're truly they're falling behind. And I use massage envy as an example because and I think I might remember what I said to make you think or bring up what you heard, but it was, I'm assuming, and I'm leaving room for the edit, but that the sexual assaults and the increase in that, I see all the more reason to take either a hands-off approach or to take away the aspects that make the sexual assaults possible, which is, like you said, the lotion, the way sheets feel, the entire comfort level of the table. Like, there's nothing grounding about none of that. And so, it's the understanding I think people are missing is, what are they going to get from it? They don't need to know what you're going to do to bring it to be. They just need to understand how they're supposed to appreciate it. And bringing up the limitations of not having bad things happen in an isolated massage room, that's a good freaking start. Good start.
Yeah, I don't talk about it excessively because men make up about 15% of the industry. So Well, for instance, in a class, sometimes it'll be like one male student and like 9 women. And if any kind of gender or women's issues come up, I usually kind of put it to the floor, as I call it. And I go, ladies, how do you deal with this? Because I have an answer for how I think I would deal with it, but it's very gender biased towards me as a male. Mm-hmm. And I let women take the floor and talk about how they deal with it or address it. I've got students who are hardcore, mat-based practitioners who are women. And one of the things they report to me pretty quickly is, oh, yeah, when I took the table and the oil off of my website, essentially, not to be crude, but like hand job requests went down massively. I'm getting way less contact. The more I move away from massage as a moniker, the more I talk about manual therapy and pain relief, I'm getting less and less of that. The full physical expression is having a facility with no private rooms that I talked about. And I don't fixate on that as part of the marketing. I don't fixate on that as part of the advertising to get massage therapists on board. But I do think it's something that comes along with it. The other piece that the students, I think, totally underestimate in terms of business is once you're working on clothed clients, you're not having people undress, essentially. If you're doing that, you can film and photo document nearly everything. And that piece gets left behind. The students are like, no, man, oh my God, like, not only is the bodywork crazy, but now he's trying to get me to, oh, dude, I don't like social media. This is evil.
Yeah.
And I go, I beg students to just take out their phone and just film what they do. We had 2 videos on my social media, my Facebook business page. I had one get 1.2 million views recently, and I had another get 750,000. I haven't checked that one again. Mm-hmm. And the 750,000 was a little more of a slow build instead of exploded. And the slow build, man, I'd never seen, for some reason I've always wondered about this, I'd never seen my content break out to the public. It's always like massage therapists commenting about whether they think what I'm doing is appropriate or not. Like they have opinions.
Wow.
Hey man, listen, they're like fundamentally most people, and this is not just massage, these are industries across the board. How do businesses feel about change?
Painful.
Well, I'm a painful motherfucker because I'm going, get rid of your table, get rid of the cream, get rid of the glide, get rid of the nudity. And they're like, this isn't massage. And I'm like, then we don't need licenses for all 50 states.
Boom.
And they go, wait, like no. And I'm like, I didn't say it. You did. Like, I'm starting to believe it because you keep telling me that, but it's like, anyway, where was I going with that? I had a track in mind.
Oh, that was good.
Oh, it broke out to the public. And when it broke out to the public, here's what happened. You had massage therapists being like snarky in the comments about, oh, I wouldn't do that. That's not safe, or whatever. The public started responding and they go, do you have any students who do this in Omaha? Do you have any students who do this in Seattle? Do you have any students who do this in New York? Do you have any students who do this in Vermont? Every day for weeks, 5 to 10 people a day were commenting saying, I want what he's doing right there. Do you know anybody in my area who does this? Do you know anybody in my area who does this? I literally had to make a separate post to try to connect clients to students and vice versa. And the whole time I'm going, guys, why don't you just make video and show people what you do? And they're like, no, it's really complicated. And I'm like, depending on the level that you dig at it is. How about this? Put your phone on a tripod and press Facebook Live. They're clothed, right? They're like, no, but the people need privacy. And I go, why?
Can I answer?
Yeah.
I think the pain of vulnerability gets to them, that they think it's the actual way to perceive it.
Wait. Say that again. The pain of vulnerability?
Yeah, they're afraid of being vulnerable. And Thai massage is strictly, I mean, honestly, I think the biggest foundation is the fact that somebody has to use their feet on them as they're a mat on the floor. And there's a certain humility that comes with the art. In my mind, it's a certain humility that massage definitely doesn't have. Pampering, luxury, spa, that's not humility. So I think that might be the broken bridge, is the fact that people just aren't humble enough to understand a healing measure that is based on that humility. That's my guess.
Yeah, there's some dynamic changes. I don't know. It's like we're sitting doing this podcast. Part of me is like, okay, like how much do I want to dig into Antoine and he and I, and then how much I want to talk about the larger industry and use it for marketing and promotion. Mm-hmm. There's a very different demeanor that happens when you finally get to the mat. And here's the change. When you are in a typical massage facility, the client is naked, the therapist is clothed. The therapist has like special knowledge about anatomy and physiology, and then the public is just some guy off the street. Mm-hmm. There's a power differential. And then when I get on a mat, I'm completely clothed and I go, hey, how you doing? What's going on?
Yeah. It's called meeting them where they are.
There's a Thai massage jam that we've run for years in Austin, and there's been very tiny interest in Thai massage. So I started running the jam just because I found a group of people who wanted it. And then like there's always been a trickle, like 10% of the community is massage therapists. Now, when I say this, you have to understand the Thai massage jam is essentially a community bodywork event that I created. People are coming in and like learning for free and giving and receiving for free and working on people for free. Massage therapists on the whole in my city in Austin have not supported the event. And forever I go, why? So what's the money thing?
I think that whole condition, the American dream, it's just an American dream thing. It really is. It's just where they put their importance for it tends to be where they put their energy at, and everything else tends to trickle away. So putting energy in being vulnerable with a client and actually building rapport and closing that gap called trust. Like, I mean, we've been so used to freaking closing the gap with the power indifference. And I could say that was one of the exercises in my school, that was the power stance. And it was like, well, how was the client supposed to feel powerful when they're feeling vulnerable? And it just wasn't there. We don't know. And it's all up. It's meeting them where they are, I think. And because it's clothed on both sides, there's a clear understanding that contact will be made, and that there's multiple people having the same things done. There are certain things that massage is America has definitely messed it all up. So I mean, it goes there, it does, and the regulations can't hold healing for that long. It just won't happen, and you're right. Like, this probably wouldn't be the podcast to talk about the expansive part of it, but how are we going to explain where we're coming from if we don't pull it from us to bring it out?
Yeah.
I personally don't, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, I do care what you did in the past, but at the same time, most people hold people to it. And so when they're choosing their therapist in that way, it almost leaves them open to get the wrong therapist or the wrong therapy, and bring in all the problems that massage therapy has grown accustomed to.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm very like matter of fact sometimes, and massage therapists occasionally have interacted with me and they're like, no, we're victims of a larger society. And I go, but you're the licensed professional. If you don't like what's going on in the industry, go change it. And they're like, no, we're victims. And I'm like, how about this? I don't talk about politics a lot. Everything that's wrong with America is the fault of American citizens. Mm-hmm. And they're like,
Yeah.
well, no. And I'm like, yes. How about let's go, like anything that's wrong in my business, guess who I blame? The guy in the mirror. And I'm like, brush your teeth, get to fucking work.
Yeah.
Like, change is not easy.
No.
It's only in retrospect, and especially when I'm interacting with people of color, it's like you look back and it's like Malcolm X is a righteous individual. Martin Luther King Jr. is like they were shot. Their ideas were so revolutionary, people killed them.
Yes.
Like, it's like, yeah, in context, it looks like Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass, liberation, right? Emancipation. It's like I was at the grocery store the other day wearing a John Brown t-shirt. People always think it's Abraham Lincoln. And it doesn't say John Brown. It's just a picture of John Brown, and it says, what we need is action. And the guy at the grocery store was like, dude, is that John Brown? And I'm like, oh, yeah, dude. Nobody recognizes who that is. Yeah. He's like, oh, yeah, dude, that's like, that might make some people mad. Like, it's like, oh, because it's amazing what a couple of 100 years will do in terms of like, okay, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. Basically. It's like people forget just how controversial from the civil rights movement those ideas were. Mm-hmm. And here was the controversial idea. Black people should have equal rights to white people. It seems preposterous now, but at that time, that was revolutionary shit, right? All I'm doing is putting down a mat and going, well, why not just change it? We'll work on a mat. Mm-hmm. And they're like, no, you're changing our sacred institution. I am always in favor of the therapist. First and foremost, I'm trying to improve their status and stature. I'm trying to create educational materials that allow them to thrive. And essentially, even in Thai massage circles, I started to hear as things grew and I was improving. When I say improving, the business was growing. Once the business, people were paying attention, the business is growing, people were like, this isn't Thai massage. And I'm like, good, I'm done. I'm moving on with life. And they're like, no, you can't just, and I'm like, can't just what? I can't go out into my community and help people for nearly free? Yep. I can't just build a damned business and pay taxes the way I'm supposed to and like have happy clients and happy students? And they're like, but you're not following the rules. And I'm like, yes, but I have a lawyer and I don't break the law. Like, listen, why are you so angry that I'm just saying there's a different way to solve the problem? I think it's better for the therapist and it's better for the public.
Yeah.
Next level
and that
pain,
sweet spot, spot where they connect.
Next level pain relief. And they're like, I don't understand. What's next level pain relief? I'm like, the future. Mm-hmm. Like, you'll understand it when I'm dead. Like, I did not think when I started 22 damned years ago that this guy was going to be like, an irritant to a larger community. And the thing is, you think the massage industry is full of rainbows and unicorns. It's like, man, there are very entrenched business interests who are using regulation to prevent change, to block change, to do everything within their power to keep a stranglehold on the marketplace. And most massage therapists, in my opinion, actively support that. They want more regulation. They want more red tape. They want more bureaucracy because it gives them a feeling of prestige. We are licensed professionals. If I talk to students, and I remember I said this little 6-hour classes like carpal tunnel, yoga therapy for pain management, abdominal. If I teach classes on specific conditions, this is what I hear when I teach classes in person. The students kind of like look at each other uncomfortably and go, I don't understand. It's like he's diagnosing and treating conditions. And I go, guys, have you read state law in Texas? And they're like, well, no. And I'm like, so you didn't read the law, you just allowed the school to interpret it for you and tell you what to be cautious about. Because I read it. I should have been a lawyer. I really missed my calling. I read the law and I have a lawyer. Anytime I have a question, I just call up my lawyer and go, hey, Mr. Seifkes, I've got this thing. And he's trained me to go, basically an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure legally. He's like, it's much better if you come to me and like make sure you're not making a misstep instead of me trying to dig you out of a problem later legally. So yes. I go to him and go, I want to do this. He's like, you can't do that. That's illegal. What about this? And he's like, nah, you can't do that. It's illegal. And I'm like, what about that? And he's like, ooh, that? He's like, yeah, don't teach people to break the law. Don't coach people to break the law. Don't encourage people to break the law. You can teach online globally with almost zero liability. And I'm like, oh shit, we have a fucking problem. I need more lawyers. I was like, dude, you have no idea what you just said. I'm like, okay, I was already teaching some crazy mat work. Now, what happens when your clients are clothed and you turn on 4 cameras and go, hey, go direct to consumer. I need 10,000 massage therapists to subscribe to my subscription service and see what I do to the massage industry.
Mm-hmm. That's the number?
Well, I mean, we're just making up numbers. I mean, if my subscription service right now just doubled, my life would never look the same again. But it's like, are you ready? I mean, it's only $7. It can't be worth anything, right? Right?
It cost me $10,000 for the license. I mean, it's well worth it.
Dude, no, I'm brutal. The students are like, how much it costs you to go to a massage school? And they're like, 10 grand. I'm like, so you went to school in a year, right? So it costs you 10 grand a year. You can study with me for 100 years at that fee.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what? No, but we want in person. I'm like, I have in-person classes in Austin. It's expensive. It's less available, and it helps fewer people. That's not my goal. Wow. I want to make education less expensive, more available, more robust. And here's the deal. You can go to school to get a license, but you can come to me and get an education. Like, I'm brutal. Like, I've had students like tell me like, this person I knew took your class and like, they cried after your class. And I'm like, well, good. Let's toughen them up a little bit. Like, what did I say that's so offensive? And part of it is the value system. This is one of the major things. I don't have any problem teaching, developing curriculum, making workbooks, DVDs, materials, online classes. That stuff is easy. The problem I have is marketing, packaging, and sales, advertising. That's really hard because you have to sell according to the emotional and psychological set of the people you're selling to. If my primary students are massage therapists, I do this all day. I'm like, what do they want? And I'm like, basically, they want in-person training that's absolutely free, and then they want to get it in a day. And I'm like, well, if it's absolutely free, how am I going to, like, I mean, that's fine, but how do I continue making a living? The closest I can get is go, fuck it. Okay, Mary, come on in. I'm going to work on you. Mary, you got shoulder pain? I turn on 4 cameras. I live stream to 10,000 students and basically give it away. And they're like, no, we want it in person. And I go, so fly to Austin. And they're like, but that's expensive. And I'm like, guys, my podcast is set up in a round. And this vicious wheel of samsara just keeps turning. In-person classes are expensive. In-person classes are less available.
Learning, the ability that people have to learn things, it's hard for me. I don't know why they're only on one side of in-person, but then there's still not that other half. Like, yeah, I'm fine with remote learning. They're
So,
still fighting the remote.
well, okay. The issue is they learned in massage school that education happens in person. In most states in the there's some slow changes in terms of core curriculum and regulation and how this works. But I was at a conference and I just very casually talked to a gentleman and was like, "Hey, when's Texas, my home state, when is Texas going to allow hands-on instruction online for CE credit?" And he turned red. Never. The state of Texas will never. We will never allow. And I'm like, whoa, dude, what the fuck? Like, 80% of my business is teaching through cameras. And he's like, well, you ready? It's a slippery slope. If we allow it there, it's going to happen in core curriculum. And I go, okay, so what's the problem? And basically it's a school owner saying, but we're going to lose control. We're not going to own the market anymore. And I'm like, okay, cool. Next. Like, I'm going to go back to doing what I'm doing. When I talk to any therapist or educator who kind of gets their panties in a bunch about it, I go, listen, the online stuff is just supplementation. It's just like a workbook or a DVD. I'm just making it better and more robust. That's all. Do you?
Oh, sorry, I have an analogy. I feel like I got to tell you. You remember when parents used to just go to the Dollar Tree or the dollar store and get math books?
Yeah.
I mean, it's minimal and it's primitive, but the comparison is kind of the same. It's like, what makes that any different than what they're teaching in school? They should not be resisting, Robert. There shouldn't be no resistance to either one or the other.
So I think, again, culturally, and when I say culture, I mean massage culture. Massage, no. The best way is in person, hands on. And I go, absolutely. Okay, now what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if massage therapists, they'll do this in Austin. If they complain, well, your classes are too expensive. I'm like, the Thai Massage Jam is free. And they're like, no, I want a CE class. And I'm like, okay, so you're making me file paperwork and maintain 3 licenses, an AMTA membership, ABMP membership, nationally certified. You're making me go through all this regulatory red tape. CE's cost. But here's the deal. Massage therapists are trying to purchase certification. They're trying to purchase prestige. They're trying to purchase status. The Thai Massage Jam doesn't have any status because I'm teaching the public just like I'm teaching the therapists. And they're like, no, I'm a prestigious licensed professional. I don't want to learn with those people. And I'm like, supplementation is all I ever did. Supplementation is I made a workbook. That's all. When we got to COVID, I had a lot of time. I had a lot of time to mess with software, and it worked great. And I went, okay, can I run 4 camera angles and use a switcher and go camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, camera 4? Yeah. Basically, I've gone to Facebook groups of massage educators and said, listen, if any of you are interested at all, I can live stream into your school from 4 camera angles, absolutely free, to teach whatever topic you feel they need.
Mm-hmm.
I get 0 requests. And if you ask why, they're like, well, does this supplement the core curriculum that we're teaching? Because basically, so I've seen a lot more of this in music, and this happened since Napster because of digital distribution.
Yes.
I'm not sure in the music scene right now. Is it Chance the rapper that doesn't have a recording deal, doesn't have a contract? He just goes direct to consumer.
I think so.
And he's very successful, millions of dollars, direct to consumer. What I just said, D2C, direct to consumer. How many educators have a direct to consumer model in our industry?
Just that link I sent you, I think that's the only thing that I know. Nothing educational in the system, though.
In massage circles, direct to consumer doesn't have any prestige. It only has prestige when it comes from the state board, when it comes from the regulators, when it comes from the schools. Me coming in from the outside, they're like, you're not one of us. You are not a part of our established way of doing things. And I'm like, the way that you're doing things is about 50 years behind technologically. Why don't we just make it better? Now, I'll keep doing it, but students want training. I'm here. Students are like, we want in person. I'm like, cool. I'll get one student who's like, why aren't you having a class in Southern California? And I'm like, because I live in Texas. Okay, let's flip it. Why aren't you in Texas training? Well, that's expensive. And I'm like, me transporting my carcass to California costs just as much as you transporting your carcass to Texas. Like, what do you want from me? Like, I'm teaching from 4 camera angles.
Yeah.
Can people watching essentially a YouTube tutorial just learn it?
I think so.
Okay. So, and this is layers, man. I think about this. If you can go to my YouTube channel and learn how to do it for free, why would you subscribe for $7?
Yeah.
Because you get more. And they're like, dude, there's like 2,000 videos on your YouTube channel. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's just a sampler. That's not even, there's over 1,000 hours in the vault of full classes from 2017. Yeah. When I say that, students are like, wait, what? And I'm like, dude, so I fight the good fight. I'm running 4 camera angles and teaching. The first online class I taught, because Texas doesn't allow hands-on instruction online. It's not like that in other states. So I can live in Texas and teach in, say, Arkansas. I taught a class. The first class I taught this way from 4 camera angles was Thai-style foot massage. I did Thai foot massage in 3 different styles: table-based, mat-based, and then like with oil and like a little bit of Thai foot sticks. Three different styles, 2 hours each class. The second class, a student got mad at me, claimed I was sexualizing the service, like called me with my Bluetooth, and basically the audience couldn't hear this because it was in my Bluetooth. She just cursed me out. She was yelling at me and all this stuff, and I was like, ma'am, I'm talking about the cultural context, and she's like, I'm talking, like yelling in my ear.
Yeah.
That lady got so upset. Are you ready? She lives in Arkansas. She reported me to TDLR, the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation or whatever.
Uh-huh.
I get a phone call, letter, email from TDLR. They're like, what did you do? And I'm like, wait. Hold on. I've never met this lady. She's never taken an in-person class with me. A student was frustrated at something I said online, and she gave you an entire YouTube link to that video. Like, the class was recorded. She showed you what I said. Mm-hmm. And they said, well, we want copies of your curriculum. And I said, okay, here's a link. Here's every class I've taught since 2017. And they went, wait, what? And I'm like the police, bro. I record myself. Mm-hmm. Here, you want to see my curriculum? Here's 1,000 hours. Pour through it with your lawyers. Now, I never, in this case, never contacted my lawyer, and here's why. I had to understand legal frameworks to be able to continue doing what I'm doing, and the deal is, remember I said I talked to lawyers so I keep myself out of trouble? Are you ready for this? Are you really ready?
Let's do it.
Are you? A student in Arkansas is upset. Instead of asking for a refund, which I would have happily given, she basically was yelling at me in my ear and whatever. Reported me to the state board. The state board's like, hey, what did you do? I kept getting letters every 3 or 4 months because they were looking into the case. And then finally, a year and a half, 2 years later, they just close it. They're like, you're not being penalized. You're not being, we're not going after you. I was frustrated because this lady is using Texas resources, which should be going to human trafficking, to come after some guy teaching on the internet. who said something
Yes.
she didn't like. The other part is, are you ready? This lady doesn't live in Texas. She lives in Arkansas. I am teaching online. If the state of Texas doesn't allow hands-on instruction online, then anything I do on the internet has nothing to do with TDLR or my license in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I never contacted my lawyer. If it would have been, if they'd have brought me to trial and my lawyer would have been like, hold on, does the state of Texas allow CE credit for hands-on instruction online? Well, no. And I'm like, cool. So what Mr. Gardner was doing on the internet has nothing to do with his normal business.
Yeah.
Here's the precedent. It means that anybody in the United States can report me to TDLR, and TDLR will have to look into it. Think about that.
No, I see. Yeah.
I'm like, so, like, what?
They confuse their own game.
Yeah. The issue is most businesses, including most people, I mean, we don't like when things change.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm victim of that as well. It's like if I go to the supermarket and they rearrange the aisles, I'm angry. The industry as it is right now is so closed, and the shifts and changes are so incremental. It's like we're talking about online education being mildly controversial. What does online education look like in 2034?
Yeah.
2044? What I'm doing, literally, I think this will happen. There will get to a point, I'm going direct to consumer in an industry that doesn't have direct to consumer. They're like, this doesn't, oh my God, this guy's not following the rules. He's just going to the internet and just giving away information willy-nilly. And I'm like, so you're angry that I'm helping people for free? An educator who's a CE provider who doesn't have a subscription service and doesn't use social media and doesn't supplement their curriculum likely won't have a job in 10 years. What I'm doing that seems innovative right now will be common practice in 10 years. But when you're the first to do it, it's like, no, you're not conforming and doing what you're supposed to. And it's like, why are you so mad that I help people? And why would you be so angry that I'm trying to help?
They are.
When I look at other businesses, I'm assuming they do the same thing. Like I have a friend who's a programmer and we talk about it, and the way that he wants to deal with Kubernetes and certain software, and I know the name Kubernetes, it makes me sound like I know what I'm talking about, but it's just using software to solve certain problems and like speed up processes. And I go, why, dude, you're in tech. Like, why are these companies not? And he's like, okay, these companies, like your business is like a jet ski. You went, okay, COVID hit, 4 camera angles. Woo, woo. Like you just change, you can just go, you know?
Yeah.
When you're in a big business, the tanker can turn the wheel, but everybody's got to be on board for the next 3 days of that thing turning around. If I try to jet ski, it's like they feel like their business is collapsing, like the structure underneath. There are some fundamental changes that are coming in terms of technology. And when it comes to education itself, especially in the massage industry, it's like this in other industries as well. But what industry would tell you that you can't learn online?
Yeah, the online college stuff kind of took it all away. At first, I thought.
I mean, to a point. No, and it is. It's not like everybody. When we're talking about other industries, I've looked up YouTube videos to like fix stuff on my car. I've looked up YouTube videos to figure out how to do this stuff with software and Zoom. I self-teach by going to Google and like searching for specific things. There are industries where we understand, you don't learn it all online, but do they
Mhm.
supplement education? It's only the massage industry, in my experience, that seems to have this real strong like push. Like you can't, no, like, you know, it's like it's the best this way. And I go, yeah, no, I admit hands-on in-person training is the best.
Sure.
It's also not scalable, and
Mhm.
it completely limits reach. I'm in Austin.
Yeah.
How many students are banging on my door trying to get into my studio to study?
That don't live in Texas, though, right? Oh, that ones that do?
Oh no, these are students who live a mile away from me.
Interesting.
Have I ever turned away a client because they couldn't afford it?
I don't
Have
think so.
have I ever turned away a student because they couldn't afford it? Dude,
I got turned away.
from who?
There was a younger therapist. Not when I say younger, like less seasoned in their experience, and she was building a at home practice, and all I was doing was stepping in to let her know that I noticed her business and that I was trying to coordinate a wellness fair in this neighborhood to test out how the event status still runs, and I know it would be effective. It was just I needed her to bring the female touch to things, and because I have two male black massage therapists on my team already, just around Florida, and it's so hard to get us together. So I'm planning on this one thing, and she said it's not her thing. I didn't even know what that meant.
It's not her style. This is what I hear.
What is funny is that before the message that I sent to her initially, and this was a straight up cold DM. Before that, apparently she hadn't been on social media, Instagram, forever, and doesn't even really do anything with it. But then when I contacted her, all of a sudden I keep seeing her pop up in the notifications with stories and stuff like that. And I think she knows she's doing something wrong. She's just too scared to admit it because she's not going to be massaging in her home for long. I know how that goes. Unless you're doing something else. Like it's like we have to find a different way of doing things, and we can't really look to the person prior without running into the issues you have, which is
the issue is I think you and I, to a point, this can make me controversial. I feel like the industry the massage industry is broken. If I say that to massage therapists, they're like, you're not part of our tribe. We don't want this is offensive. And I go, cool. The average therapist works 5 years. They come to me because they're broke and they have hand pain.
There you go.
Is that working? Who's it working for? Oh, big business like Massage Envy and corporate entities? Well, great. Well, I mean, congratulations. But it's like, why can't individual therapists make a functional, happy, productive living? And some do, by the way. But all I did was say, okay, there's massage, but what if I could make a better service for pain management?
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's it. It's so yeah. There's a full big circle of like what massage is, but like that's what I want to do. I want to make a better service for pain management. I threw down a mat and got to work, and people went, "No, but you're not. This doesn't conform to the." Listen, I quote this all the time. Jiddu Krishnamurti said, "It is of no virtue to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society."
You know who Jiddu is?
Who's that?
Krishnamurti. You know who he is?
Oh, Jiddu Krishnamurti? Yeah. I've read lots of his work. Yeah.
Robert, I'm going to introduce you again. My name is Antoine Cottle, and you are my existential friend, dude. No, I mean, I can't even bring him up to the public because they just think I'm just spitting some normal Indian guru guy. But you know what he means, and you know where he stands, and it's a lot. It's a lot, dude. That's my world.
Yeah, like I was introduced to Jiddu Krishnamurti by a friend in college. We were having conversations at a party, and he's like, "Dude, you need to read Krishnamurti." And I'm like, "Who?" And he's like, dude, I don't know, man. He's just this Indian guy, like philosopher. Like, I think you should read his stuff. And I became like a lifelong fan. But then I found out, just to bring it back to the bodywork, Bruce Lee was a philosophy student. And Bruce Lee developed Jeet Kune Do, huge fan, or read tons of Jiddu Krishnamurti. Mm-hmm. When I started making my phase 1 workbook, as I was going deeper into my Thai massage curriculum, I did intro and table Thai. The business was growing, and I started to hit that like tradition thing. Mm-hmm. And it was like I looked at Bruce Lee, who wasn't purely ethnically Chinese, very controversial. You can't teach the round eye. Mm-hmm. He was like taking pieces of Wing Chun and the footwork from fencing and some grappling and developing the progenitor of mixed martial arts, developing Jeet Kune Do. And people said, no, you can't do that. It's not traditional. And I'm like, ooh, because I would read his quotes and I'm like, nah, man, his is martial arts and includes like striking. Mine is the martial art of compassion. Like I'm working on people, and it's like their physical stuff is completely keyed in with their mental stuff. There is no separation. I can't influence their body without affecting their mind and spirit. And it's like, when I would listen to Bruce Lee in his quotes, I'm like, man, he was dealing with the same stuff. It's the same obstacles of like culture, people's inability to change. And it's like, it's talking about like the way of no way, be like water. And it was like, man, it's the same. Like I really resonated with what Bruce was talking about, because you could see the same sorts of things I was dealing with between like the East and the West, between like cultural appropriation and appreciation, where like, how do you change it to fit like an American audience? Like I went to Dallas recently, and I went to King Spa. King Spa is a Korean spa. And I was sitting there, and it's a wonderful, wonderful place. It's like a big bathhouse. It's got all these saunas and jacuzzis, and it's very, very super relaxing. I actually love it when I go toward Dallas. But I was sitting there, and they have like a restaurant that sells essentially Korean food inside the facility. And I looked up, and there was bulgogi nachos.
I know what bulgogi is.
And then there was a bulgogi burrito. Okay. And I just sit there, and it's like everybody's like, oh, that sounds good. Like, I like bulgogi. I'm in Texas. Bulgogi nachos. Bulgogi burrito. Nothing about that is ethnically purely Korean. Yeah. Like, people from Asian countries, particularly in food, and I look at this all the time, they're completely happy to like slightly tweak it to like Western preferences. Mm-hmm. And it's like, why does the same not happen in body work? Because all I'm really trying to do is to get body workers and educators to dream and go create niche markets. I'm not trying to say my answer is the only answer. I'm just in favor of niche bodywork services, and I only have time to promote what I'm doing. Like I'm not running out selling your practice or whatever. It's like somebody does Watsu, awesome. Like I'm selling what I think is the best in a terrestrial environment. Mm-hmm. The best bodywork in a terrestrial environment is getting rid of the massage table. When I take a massage table and I'm like, no, it's not, no. So table and mat, this dichotomy, table and mat. Well, you're doing this you're doing this mat thing, but don't you teach on a table? And I'm like, yes. And I'm like, guys, this table is a sky mat. I don't understand. What's a sky mat? I'm like, it's a mat in the sky. You call it a table. Yeah. I treat the table like it's an elevated mat. That's all. Yeah. Like they're not. The sky. It's not on the ground. They're not different things. Yeah. And they go, no, and it's like, listen. Do you want to work harder? Work on a table. Do you want it to be less effective? Do it on a table. Yes. Do you want it to be harder on your hands, arms, and carpals? Do it on a table. In every category, if you want the work to be easier to help people with pain management, mat-based is the way to go. I'm going to give you 2 entire extra limbs. You're going to have elbows on steroids, forearms on steroids, and hands on steroids. It's called knees, shins, and feet. And now you have multiple points of contact. And they're like, no, you just keep changing it. And I'm like, man, all the dudes that I aspire to, like I'm wearing a Socrates t-shirt, put to death. Jesus, put to death. John Brown, put to death. People who fought to like change things and are in like righteous indignation. Somebody killed him. It's like you introduce too much change too fast and the species goes, no, you can't. And I go, it is not that big a deal in 2024 to turn on a camera and show people how to revolutionize their practice and to do it for $7 a month. Like I tell students, I'm like, listen, you keep saying that education is expensive. It's not. Education is very inexpensive. What's expensive is bureaucracy and red tape. I can turn on cameras and teach you live daily. And they're like, no, but we want in person. And I'm like, cool, fly me out.
Yeah. Oh, here's my price.
Like Jimmy Buffett is now passed away, but I didn't like ring up Jimmy and go, hey, Jimmy, can you play a concert in my home?
Yeah.
It's like, no, like I'm busy. Like I don't.
You can listen to my CD, which is just as good as having him. You hear what you hear. And honestly, you get healing where you get the healing. And it's for them to nitpick it. It almost seems like they're just protecting their own bureaucracy because of however it works. Like it's going to break apart on their own. It really will.
Gatekeepers will gatekeep gapes. I'm sorry. Gatekeepers will gatekeep gates that have long since stopped working.
Yep.
Like it's just think about what it represents when in a digital distribution sense, you had like the recording industry and then Napster.
Yeah. Because
massage schools are the recording industry and I'm Napster. And they're like, no, like I've had people do this. They go, Robert, but like, dude, what, like the problem with your stuff is it's digital. And I'm like, well, why is that a problem? And they're like, dude, what are people going to put it on the Pirate Bay and steal it? And I go, you're afraid that people are going to give away stuff that I'm selling for $7 a month. It's going to hit the Pirate Bay. And I'm going to become the Napster. I'm sorry. I'm going to become the like Metallica of body workers.
Somehow.
Like, are you serious?
Oh
like,
my gosh.
Why are like, okay, trade secrets. I'm like, what trade secrets? I've recorded every class since 2017. You can hear every curse-laden rant. You can hear every foul-mouthed piece of shit, whatever, like everything I've said. Am I afraid somebody's going to steal it? Like the Grateful Dead, I like jam bands. Did Jerry get up and like play a lick and be like, man, guitarists are going to like copy what I'm doing and like steal it?
All the chords are technically the same.
It's like
it's the same thing.
The Grateful Dead pioneered. I talked about this in marketing in my vault. The Grateful Dead, in a weird way, it's not like they created it. It's a manifestation of how the Dead play in terms of improvisation, and then technology advancing to the point where fans could record concerts. Fans started sneaking into concerts and surreptitiously recording the concerts, which wasn't technically legal. Somebody eventually went to Jerry, who was probably on drugs. It is Jerry Garcia. And they're like, Jerry, we got a problem. And he's like, well, okay, I'm on drugs. I play guitar. I make millions of dollars. What's the problem? Yeah. He's like, they're sneaking recording equipment in and recording the show. And he's like, okay, well, I mean, like they paid for a ticket. Like, do I own the music once it comes out of the speakers? The Dead did something very revolutionary, and they basically codified, okay, not only will we allow people to record, we'll have a tapers section where these people can sit in this prime spot to be able to get these recordings, because you had a pre-internet viral sales team of deadheads who were taping and sending tapes and reels and shit in the mail to like other heads and other places, tape trading.
Yeah.
But it's a manifest. Like in 2024, you talk about it and you're like, well, you mean you don't just listen to YouTube or Spotify? And it's like, no. This was, this is back when. The live version of the song was the deal because you wanted the improvisation if you loved the Grateful Dead. They didn't make as much money off of like recordings of their albums, which was always frustrating to Warner Brothers or whoever they worked with. They made their money from doing like live shows. And then fans who couldn't make it to all the shows still wanted to hear it, so they'd get a tape from one of their friends. So you had this kind of community around, tape trading. When I looked at what I was doing, it was like, yeah, it's just a manifestation of the fact that the technology has gotten inexpensive enough that I can afford a nice microphone and record from 4 camera angles. Like, why wouldn't I want to give that supplemental material to the students? And then because you're doing something so different, they were like, well, how did you decide to give it away for $7? And I'm like, well, $7 isn't 10. If you hit 4 digits on their credit card statement, I think they'll notice it more. And 2, 7 is the heavenly number. It's the number of perfection. It's not even $10 a month. Like, it's not Netflix. Like Netflix, you got to have really, they charge. You got to have really high quality programming and rotate it out and whatever. I'm just some Yahoo with a camera running around like doing body work on people. It's a much smaller market. And how much do I have to charge to make it profitable? Well, $7 is fine. People have argued with me forever to like raise the fee, but when you go across country lines to like Australia, for instance, they charge them more because of taxes. So it's probably closer to $10 or $11 in Australia because of like laws related to their stuff that they tack on.
Right.
The whole process was much like a musician. Do I want more distribution or less? Social media. Like, do you want more students or less? Social media. Do you want more clients or less? Social media. The first thing that will happen with students, and these are students who like the body work that I'm doing. Oh boy. I had a meeting with Stephanie Sorn one day, and unfortunately, I had an empty can of like fizzy water. I had like one of these. I had one of these that was empty. And she understands the body work. She's on board with the body work. We're doing the body work. And then she came in to have just a free business consult. And we sat down and chatted. And I was like, you need to get on social media and you need to run ads. And she's like, well, is that effective? And I lost my fucking mind. I literally threw a can across the fucking room. I'm like, wow. And it fortunately landed on something that was padded and it was empty. It's like, it's not one of my prouder moments, but it's like my internal anger is like, the students, by avoiding social media and avoiding advertising and any modern sensibility, is basically crippling their capacity to build the lives they really want. Like, people cannot buy if they don't know who you are. Mm-hmm. Like, why is something as rudimentary as social media in 2024 being well, is that an effective? I'm like, dude, there's 1.6 million people in the greater Austin area. For $10 a day in ads, when you run ads for 2 years on social media at $10 a day, you can potentially show your stuff to 80% of those 1.6 million people. Why are you asking me if that's a good investment? Like, I'm just like, this is a business. Businesses advertise. What is I don't understand. What do you mean, is this a good, it's like I stammer because it's like, why is the concept of like using absolutely free social media? Like, I pay for Zoom to be able to connect with you this way, but like, what does it cost for me to do a podcast?
What, $20 a month? Less?
Nothing.
I
mean, I pay for the software for Zoom or whatever, but it's like when I said, okay, we need a podcast, You go to YouTube and go, how do I start a podcast? And it turns out you don't need a fancy camera and a crazy mic. Like, all you need is a phone and a tripod.
Dude,
What?
I went to Dollar Tree to get my equipment. The ring light I got here, the microphone that I don't have to use because of my camera situation.
Yeah.
Like nothing. Like, this is just a little dinky on air.
It's so hard to explain. It's like, so here's why I got angry. I don't want Stephanie to be broke. I want Stephanie to be able to make so much money she can buy tickets to go see Fish at the Sphere, and it costs $2,000, and she's like, so what? I want her to have vacations, retirement, not hurt her hands, like build the real business that she wants to build, like lofty visions. I don't want the business side to hold the students back. When the students look at me and they go, dude, I don't understand. You're like, why are you playing video games? And I'm like, because I've got software that allows me to screen record. Why wouldn't I? I'm 47 years old. Why wouldn't I play the original Legend of Zelda from beginning to end and record the entire thing and put it on YouTube? And they're like, but that has nothing to do with bodywork. And I'm like, correct, but it builds brand. Because Robert Gardner is the tequila drinking, cooking, video game, poker playing body worker who helps people in chronic pain. And they're like, oh. The goal isn't just to stay in the massage industry. The goal is to start talking to other businesses and get a guy in Austin who's got a food truck and we talk shop. And get somebody who works on Wall Street and talk shop. And get somebody who follows Dave Ramsey's advice and just does real estate investing and talk shop. And they go, but the podcast doesn't have anything to do with massage. And I'm like, it's a hub on like a larger wheel. Does it get me more fans who are interested in what I do? Does it get me more people who are seeing my business and making like people will literally hit my website. They'll see a couple of videos and they're like, oh, he's a consummate professional. He's got a podcast. Dude, a 3-year-old can start a podcast for free.
Yeah.
But those are signals to the market that like I care enough about my business to cultivate this stuff. How do I look or how do I feel when I look at a student's social media and I just flip through their Instagram feed and go, come on, guys, what is this? Is this
no post yet? Is
this a business that I would want to go see? Like we're talking in 2024, like you could talk about TikTok and people are like, oh yeah, TikTok. It's like, dude, when the pandemic started 5 years ago or whatever, TikTok was like, I had massage therapists angrily dismiss TikTok. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, you're not understanding what the technology is going to continue to do. Like, the students go, I don't like social media. And I'm like, you don't like free digital global distribution? And they're like, no, I don't like social media. And I'm like, you don't like free global advertising and marketing? No.
But privacy, Robert, privacy.
Okay. I don't put everything I do on my social media. Like it's snapshots of my life in various ways.
Fragmented, yes.
Like I have, okay, just to give you an example, Kristen is a student of mine, friend, colleague, mentor. I'm a mentor to her, I guess. She's a mentee, if you want to call it that. We just moved into a new place, new studio, and the finances are tight, so I didn't want to go out and buy a grill. I love to cook, and I was in an apartment, so I couldn't have a grill, couldn't cook outside. So Kristen brought me an entire bag of Bridgeford charcoal that she'd picked up from somebody that they gave away. And I'm like, yeah, score, whole bag of charcoal? Hell yeah. She messages me and she's like, listen, there's a grill or a smoker on the curb at such and such. And I hopped in my car, drove 3 minutes down the street, look at it, and it's like rusted on the outside, but the inside of the smoker grill is fine. I grabbed that thing, put it in my car. The next day, the cooking show starts. New free grill. And what I'm doing is that, like, the students always think, well, you got to have a nice smoker and a professional smoker, and you got to have the right equipment and this and that. And I'm like, no. I'm like, Bridgeford charcoal free, grill free. Here's Here's the burger meat. I literally totaled up like what I had spent. It was like $75 on like ground meat and chicken or whatever I grilled that day.
Yeah.
And I was talking about it as I was filming it. I'm like, what am I going to call the show? And I'm like, new free grill. You're showing people how to cook and cook well on a budget.
Yeah.
I'm like, first step one, I crack open a beer. We're grilling. The students will look at that and go, dude, I don't understand. And it's like, why wouldn't I, in a social media age, why wouldn't I want a cooking show? Why wouldn't I want more people to tune in to like see what I'm cooking and eating and how I'm showing them how to save money for like the stuff that they're doing?
But those reasons aren't real for people. They think of how bad they look and what people are going to say about them. And then they take the impression that they got on social media and assume it's just one big octopus monster that's just getting people. And it's like, no, these are people putting that information. It's not the media. So it's the people putting the stuff through.
So the same videos I talked about in those Facebook Reels, it got 1.2 million views. Another had 750,000. And this was just recently. This is within the last couple of months. The same students, if I go, listen, you don't want 1 million people to see your stuff. And they're like, well, but those people don't live in Austin, then they can't come get a session. And I'm like, you don't think those people have friends and family or vacation? No, I don't want a global following. I just want like clients locally. And I'm like, guys, the age of the yellow pages is gone. If you tell me you want to be Amish and you don't want to use social media, you can still build a business, but you're going to have to do a lot of free in-person events. Your marketing.
We have an Amish wife and husband duo that's called Taters and Maters.
Yeah.
And they have a website. You know, they probably have a social media too on at least one platform. I don't know why people are running, but people are running to the same result as the internet.
The change. And I think part of it, like and I think about this all the time. I grew up playing Atari and like Nintendo NES, 8-bit. And those were technological like triumphs at the time. Mm-hmm. Now I sit down and look at games, and there's some games on the Nintendo I just can't play. It's too rudimentary. Like I'm just not interested. The technology is continuing to change so fast. When they talk about social media, they feel like it's this all-consuming thing related to the internet. And they're like, no, I want to connect with people in person. And I go, yes. But you have to have clients and you have to be known for people to come in. And why wouldn't you want to use like free resources? Here's the deal. I get 1.2 million views. One, there are asshole massage therapists in the comments saying I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I've been around long enough that when people leave like snarky comments on my social media, it rarely triggers an emotional response. Because here's what happens. I had 10 people who say, these are the public, he's got a chubby. Basically, he's getting an erection while he's working. I can't be the only one who noticed or whatever. And I'm like, huh? Like, I'm just reading the comments because they're just pouring in. And it's like, yeah, there were 10 people who wrote shitty comments. There were 100 in various cities and states who were like, I want this. I want this. Do you know anybody here who does this? Oh my God, this is what I want. This is what I need. This is what I want. Like, what do you give more weight?
Well, they just literally, I think the ones that go against it, they're actually feeling shrunken by being a part of the audience. And the fact that they can't find a reason to want something along with a bunch of people who are supposed to be like-minded that know what they want, they start feeling insecure. They really do. And then they start barking. I mean, it's like such a like compounding thing, but I swear I've been watching people behave for so long obsessively. And it's just a step-by-step process that their impulse has decided to control. And until that point of impact, they're just going to keep going through this cycle back and forth. This sucks. Go away. Hold on. I'm calling it. This sucks. Go away. Like this weird mode of.
I look at it, and from a social proof standpoint, I go, how many videos would I have to make that go viral to the public where the public keeps saying, I want this, I want this, I want this. Where do I get this? Where do I get this? That the industry would finally listen.
Mm-hmm.
Because,
okay, well, what about this?
Go ahead.
What if they're saying, I want this because they don't know what it would do for them? But then the other side that's saying that's stupid, they're also thinking, what is it going to do for them? So it's like people feel like they have to choose sides. We can't forget that divides are still strong and well. That we are dividing the hell out of this planet. And so when people look at
there's a bifurcation, there's a split in the challenges in the business. And here's what it really boils down to in terms of business. I have to educate the providers, and then I have to educate the public.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get I'm trying to get the providers to sell the service, but you got to get the public to demand the service. I'm tweaking pieces of the business right now to try to build public demand because the therapists on their own will not promote a new service. I have to get the clients to ask for it, and then there's no resistance. Massage therapists on the whole, this is a deep critique of mine. Listen to this very carefully. Massage therapists want to be service providers, not problem solvers. I just want to give my client what the clients are asking for. And I'm like, Henry Ford is quoted as saying, if I had given my customers what they wanted, I would have given them a faster horse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The therapists are like, man, damn, like, okay, yeah, this feels good, but like my clients still want the table. My clients still want the nudity and the oil. And I'm like, why don't you focus on chronic pain and sell them a superior service for pain management? And they're like, oh, because what they hear is this very complex overturn of like getting rid of the table, getting rid of the glide, the cream, and the nudity. Mm-hmm. And they're like, they're already entrenched. It's too much. This is just way too much. Changing things. Selling. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, I was just gonna say like the selling. Like I don't know. It's almost like how do you sell a car? Do you talk about the features or find out what the person needs for it or how it would solve their problem? They get so focused on massage therapy. They do.
Depends on the customer. Yeah. Yep. Well, and here's the thing: when I say it, the clients, when they're like, "Why aren't massage therapists doing this?" I'm like, "Listen, it's just not what they're taught in school. That's all." Yeah. There are massage therapists who went to massage school, who got a massage education and got a massage license to do massage. And I go, let's deliver a better service for pain management.
Yeah. Wow.
No, but basically, it's not just massage is something I do, it's my being. But I am a massage therapist. Mm-hmm. What happens when you attack, like, this is like politics and religion. This is the real reason it's so controversial and you don't discuss it at a bar. When you attack a religion, the person feels like you're attacking them, not their beliefs. The reason the massage therapists sometimes don't like what I say is they've taken on these things so intrinsically as part of who they are that when I question it fundamentally, they're like, we don't like you.
Yeah.
And it's like, I am not my beliefs. Those are separate things. But I was a philosophy student. I'm wearing a Socrates shirt. Like I've done thought experiments and do all this stuff all the time, just naturally. Yeah. They feel like they're being attacked. And it's like, no, I'm just trying to show you that I think we could deliver a pain management service in a new way. Mm-hmm. People will tell me, well, listen, man, you gotta show the students how to make money. And I'm like, business. If I wanted to show the students how to make money, I would stop teaching body work altogether and just focus 80% on the business side. There is no interest in the potential for what I just said. There is almost no interest in the massage community in like adapting these things. Do massage schools in the United States, not just Austin, by the way, do massage schools in the United States contact me and ask me how they can work on their social media marketing or how I might better help them?
Nope.
Do massage therapists across the United States contact me and say, hey man, can I be on your podcast? I want to promote my... Dude, I've told students in my classes in Austin, they're like, oh, this social media, like, what kind of camera do I use? And I hold up my phone.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, but like, what kind of editing software? I'm like, listen, I'll make you a deal. You're taking my class. Come to my studio. I'll record some stuff, and I'll literally record it and edit it with my equipment, and I'll do it for free. How many students take me up on that offer?
That's a shame.
It's too much change. It's like John Brown is almost looked at passe now. It's like, well, of course he, that was a righteous thing. And it's like, the government put him to death.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he basically like sparked off a piece of what became the Civil War. Like, that was very controversial then. It's just dampened over time, historically. Mm-hmm. All I'm trying to do is say, hey, why don't we work on a mat? Oh, we'll just supplement using video education. And they're like, no, you can't just change things. And I'm like, guys, the technology is not going away. All I need is enough clients and enough students. Mm-hmm. And the business continues to transform. All the money goes right back into the business, and I buy a better microphone or a better camera, or I hire an editor to help me with some stuff to make graphics better or whatever. Like, if I sit down with therapists and I go, what are your dreams? And basically the dreams is to have so much money you don't think about the money anymore. They want to go on They want to go on vacation. Do they want to? So do they want to think about the rent? Do they want to think about the business, sales, marketing, packaging, social media, HTML, coding? No. I just want to do massage and make a whole lot of money. And I go, great, okay. So you don't want to teach? No. You don't want to run a facility? No. I just need a completely full practice. And I go, okay. Now we have a very specific goal. Let's work on this. How are you going to get those clients? They're like, well, I like word of mouth. This is digital word of mouth. No, I don't like social media. And I'm like, you don't like free marketing, advertising, and packaging? No, I don't like social media. And I'm like, oh, that's going to be hard, man. You're going to have to work at that for a while.
You've had these conversations?
Oh, dude, if people understood how maniacal I am, when I go to parties, I went to a party that night, somebody had a pool party, and there are times when people around me are like, man, can you just stop talking about business?
Mm-hmm.
And I go, well, what is business? And they're like, Robert. So, because you're thinking, okay, it's table and mat. It's business and pleasure. It's like I want more free time. And I'm like, free time? What is that?
Yeah.
Wow. Like, all I got is lifetime.
Yeah.
Like, the deal is, the reason I talk about business is because I love it. Am I getting paid to do this podcast?
No.
Is there a monetary exchange? And this is a weird thing for me as an entrepreneur. I always find this funny. Like, there are people who've literally gotten angry at me that I'm too money focused. And I'm like, if I'm so money focused, why do I give so much shit away for free? It's not about money. It has fuck all to do with money. I mean, I need money because I like to pay my bills and I stress about it. But the goal is to have, are you ready? The goal is to have so much resources that just by doing this podcast, Antoine, business goes to you.
Yeah, just business happens. Yeah.
The goal is to have so much resources, energetically, spiritually, physically, again, capitalism, monetarily, that people interacting with me are lifted up. Communities.
Yeah.
It's not like I told somebody this one time. I said, man, I was in Arkansas teaching, and I talked about living in South Austin in some palatial estate, and we had like little cabinas, and then like a pool and a jacuzzi and a sauna and like a game room, and this just amazing, immaculate mansion, in South Austin. And this young lady was like, well, don't be greedy. Don't be greedy. And I'm like, yo, the reason I want the big place with all the cabinas is because we have a training facility on site. You can just come stay with me in Austin for free. What? And I'm like, if I have a huge estate and I have rooms for people to come stay, they can just come stay. Like, why do people think it's all greed? It's mine. It's mine.
It could be that whole people are a reflection of themselves thing hitting them. Because honestly, when people don't see everybody else's intention with money as different, and like me, I don't have to have my business make me any particular money right now. I need it to make it money, and that's where people's perception starts getting twisted, where their self-worth and the objects of the world start getting blurred. And it's all vanity, but it's a reflection of their own greed, if anything, for sure. That's what I've noticed. I've never been greedy, I guess. I mean, lazy and selfish, yeah, but greedy, nah, everybody else first. So, I mean, it's definitely one of those things. It's definitely one of those things where convincing, I think everybody in the business world have to send convincing out of the window. I think convincing is the thing that's making people have the lack of belief.
How so?
Or even the faith. Because, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you said it, but, people don't like being sold. People they feel like you got over on them. It feels like they did something that you wanted them to do without them knowing. And so it's almost like, well, why do you think you can give Thai massage over the internet? Well, because healing is universal and there is no barrier to that. I love the objections. Like I love hearing you go through the objections of people's resistance, because ultimately, and it's frustrating, but that's how we have to find a way to actually explain why their objection is holding them back, rather than why their objection is stopping them from embracing us.
Yeah. My biggest challenges are packaging, marketing, and advertising, sales.
Yeah,
I'm running 4 camera angles, and I'm getting ready to diversify curriculum. And one of the things I need to do is I need to reach out to the greater public and go, listen, if you are in chronic pain and that chronic pain is soft tissue based, I want to develop a new set of training modules where I'm going to work with you one-on-one live through my cameras. So if you're out there and you have upper back and neck pain, or you have shoulder pain or sciatica or something, I'm going to figure out a cost, and I'm going to work with you one-on-one. I'm going to show you how to work on yourself. I'm going to train you in the same thing I've been training massage therapists in, but I'm going to show you how to do it to yourself.
I hear you. Reverse it.
Okay.
Reverse it around.
So
put their desired result at the top, at the forefront.
Yep.
And honestly, they just going to have to find out what you do when they find out, because they are still looking for that goal. The
public is looking for pain relief. That's what I'm going to skewer when I talk to clients. Pain relief. If I'd go to a party and they're like, "Ooh, you do massage," and I'm like, "Eh." So I do real high grade manual therapy for pain management. Like, the reason I don't call it massage is like I work on a mat with people clothed. Oh. And I'm like, and I immediately change the conversation at that point, and I go, "Are you having pain?" And they're like, "Yeah, I got this upper back thing. Like, I love deep tissue." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, my work is deeper than deep tissue." Whoa, really? I'm like, listen, deep tissue can feel like you're being petted compared to what I do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not painful. It's not intended to be painful, but I have the capacity to really almost overwhelm clients if that's what they needed. So I go, you got pain, you do this, you do that. I'll work on them at the public, right here, for just a couple seconds, just to say hello, and then maybe give them a business card. That works inordinately well, and there's very little pushback because they have a problem and I'm offering a solution. The clients literally do not care how I solve the problem. If I had a magic button and all I did was I came in my studio and I pressed the magic button and all the pain went away, they'd pay me the same fee for 5 minutes of work. Ready? We're going to push the button. Whoop. Now, flip that to massage therapists. What's the problem the massage therapist wants solved?
The problem? I want to say clients, but I also want to say clients that they won't send away. I could be wrong.
What do you mean send away?
I don't know. My bladder's talking a little bit, but for the most part,
if we need to pause at some point, if you want to keep talking, by the way, we can pause and then come right back.
What time we got? Well, okay, it's 2:00. The thing about it, yeah, my bladder's in the way. I lost it. Yeah.
I'm not in any rush, but if you need to go, that's fine.
No, there is a fire I have to put out personally. But it almost seems like the massage therapists want to make money without the client work.
So it's very well. It's like I've been racking my brain on this. I do this all the time. It's just like a thought experiment or a scientist trying to figure something out, like just extremely dense, like research. The public, it's like, where do you hurt? My shoulder? Okay, cool. Yeah, no, we can help you with that. Problem solved. Never had a problem with that. The students, completely murky and amorphous. I cannot figure out. And here's what it is. They're looking for magic techniques to build their practice. The problem isn't the techniques, it's the business. Do the students want to learn business? Marketing, sales, packaging, advertising. There are therapists who are snoring right now when I say that. They're like, no, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to have to build, I'm working on this. I'm going to have to build a team who takes students who come in and study with me. They get certified. And then we start funneling clients to the students via ads on social media.
Yes.
So I do it for them.
Yeah.
If a student puts $100 in and $200 comes out, let's do it again next month. Let's put $200 in. Does $400 come back? Okay. Let's put $400 in. Does he get $800? How long would I have to run ads for the students to like completely fill their practice with mat-based clients?
I mean, without refining the search, it's a lot of follow-up. But if you're refining your own search or the targeting, that's up to you.
Fundamentally, I think you're correct. And I didn't see it for a long time. The students don't have a bodywork problem, they have a business problem. Essentially, it's this. How do I get students a consistently constant stream of new clients coming in? The most direct way is advertising. But do you know any educator in the massage industry who's teaching from 4 cameras on the internet who's saying they're going to set up a marketing packages so that their students can sign up to have ads run for them?
Yeah.
They're like, wait, what? And I'm like, we got to build public demand.
Yeah.
If the public demands it, I would have no teaching problems whatsoever. Students would be like falling over themselves to get access to my curriculum, even at $7 a month. If I document 10 different students were running ads And their ROI, like they go up $1,000 a month in revenue,
Mm-hmm.
12 grand a year, 24 grand a year, and it grows.
Yep.
Are the students going to stop doing what I teach?
They shouldn't.
Are they going to stop training? Like I've had people go, well, what happens when their practices are totally full? And I'm like, we've documented that on video and I've won it live. Like there'll be 100 other students after them begging to get in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then later on, there's going to be education about how the ones that made it up to the limit can continue on with the limit themselves. You know what I mean? Like, I think we, especially as a service industry mate, you know what I mean? Like massage service, I've done branding ads one time on Instagram. And other than that, I just understand it. That's it. I just listened to the guys that knew what they were talking about, but it's in the back of my mind, you know, because I still want to keep it organic.
There's a piece where not the teaching or curriculum development or video, but the marketing, packaging, advertising, sales. I'm not quite as good at it. I don't have as much of a natural knack at it. It's something I'll hack away at and get better, but I don't know if it'll ever be my main gift.
Right.
I have way less anxiety. I'm about to run ads for clients again after COVID because I'm trying to help kind of diversify and rebuild a client practice where I'm finding people in Austin and pain to help them and then documenting that and using it as training materials and going on. There's just so much less anxiety with going, are you in pain? Come see me.
Yeah.
If I look at the massage industry as an educator and go, hey, are you having problems with your hands and you need to make more money? Come train with me.
Yeah.
The students start doing the body work and they're like, wow, this is really amazing and effective. And then they go, but my clients aren't really asking for this.
And that's where your analysis of the entire, like just Thai massage in general, that's where that comes in, because ultimately they'll have to see. I mean, it was part of my curriculum. I just don't understand where it went, you know, but I guess I'll find out.
Well, it's so much information when you're in massage school. I think it's hard to focus on unless you've already been in the business world.
Man.
Yeah.
I jumped in raw, man. I was in school. I was learning Watsu from a trained massage therapist, and the entire class turned against me because they thought I was cheating at school. And I don't mean cheating like looking off somebody's test scores. I mean with a cheat code outside of school. They were right. Yeah, I was learning something else from somebody else, but because it didn't affect how I understood inside the class, I set off every single projection mode they had.
Yeah.
I'm made for that. Like I can uncover somebody's truth and without even speaking half the time.
Yeah.
And so that's what people are going to have to get used to. They're going to have their minds changed by the presence of somebody who isn't regulated. Us.
Most of the innovation, in my experience, most of the innovation within the massage industry comes from outside.
Right.
It doesn't come from inside the industry in general. Yeah. So can you let the audience at home know where they can find you? I'm going to put your social media links down here so they can see all that. But can you tell them where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, I'm on all over. Antoine Cottle on LinkedIn, Facebook, Akai Sasori on Instagram. I'm all over the place. Just type one of those two in. YouTube. I'm there.
Cool.
I'm there.
Well, listen, we'll go ahead and shut it down for today so you can go do things you got to do and put out fires.
I know.
But I'd be happy to chat again in the future about things. There's a ton of depth that can be pulled out of the conversations. And people just don't understand the amount of time I've spent like cultivating the business over the last 22 years, like looking at the industry, looking for an angle to, continue to build and thrive. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I appreciate all the listeners, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Antoine, you can hang out for just a second while I stop the podcast.
Cool. Thanks, guys. See you later.